Crystal Things, the podcast where we are on some manifest your life, shift your mind,
come on now, y'all,
and raise the consciousness type of shit.
Hello.
I'm Christy.
And I am Mija, and you can consider us your spiritual girlfriends. Okay, so guys, last week we talked about altars.
Yep.
How to use them in your spiritual practice, how it deepens your practice, ideas of what to put on them. Mm-hmm. But, as with any spiritual practice, it's very personal to that person. Yep. So we were just giving you guys some ideas, and hopefully you guys checked it out and let us know what you think. Yes. So what are we talking about today, Christy? Okay,
if you all have been listening to us long enough, you already know this is one of my favorite topics. So we're talking about, and again, we had talked about going deeper in our discussions, and so we are here to talk about using your dynamic sexual energy to manifest what you desire, and that is called sex magic.
Yeah.
And some people believe that sex in and of itself is magic. But so what we're going to be talking is we're going to be discussing, we're summoning your dynamic sexual energy and basically using the energy of the orgasm as a vehicle to manifest, which I think is, which I think is so cool. And so like with orgasm or with vibrations, again, everything is energy, frequency. Spells or intentions are intensified when you utilize sex magic with it. And so whether or not climax is reached with another body or alone, sex magic is one of the most effective ways to manifest your dreams into waking life.
Yes. I would say, you guys, sex magic is much more than just opening your legs.
Yeah.
Okay? It's about opening portals.
It really is.
As with all magic, actually, with anything that you're engaging in your life, intention is everything.
Yeah.
So,
everything.
What might surprise you, most of you guys, is that you've been engaging in sex magic without probably
really knowing
even knowing
it. Yes, everyone does, I think, to some extent.
Yes. So, to aid us in this conversation today, we have our good girlfriend, Mija Bradford.
Our sister. Hey,
Mija. Joining us in this conversation. And we've had Mija on the show before. We were talking about trauma.
Yep.
So Mija is a licensed therapist and, dare I say, an intuitive counselor.
Yes, she
is. As well as a best-selling author. Who people seek out for deep trauma healing as well as to help in manifestation. So Mija is very adept in this area.
And I enjoy it.
Yes, that part.
But when I tell you she is the bomb, she is the bomb. Like, to be honest, like my daughter was seeing her, to just talk some things out. She is and
she's good people.
She is good people, good heart, good soul.
She knows what she's doing.
She really does, and she cares about her work. She cares about the quality of the work, but enough of me in the accolades.
Right. No. So, but the good thing is when she, as a manifestation coach, she teaches people how to harness the beautiful energy that exists within them.
Yep.
Yeah.
And one of those ways is through sex.
Yeah.
So, thank you, Mija.
Thank you for having me here. I appreciate it. I just love you guys. You know that, right?
So we're gonna kick this off. We love you too. We're gonna kick this off with so. It's sex magic, Magick.
Yes.
Now, I'm sure a lot of people have seen, magic and magic with the K. So, Mija, let's get into what is the difference between magic with the C? What is the difference between magic with a C and magic with the K?
That's a real good question. So when we talk about magic with the C, we're talking about like stage magic, like the stuff, with tricks, like things that you used to see at like, vaudeville or at the circus, that kind of stuff, right? But then when you're talking about magic with a K, that concept was introduced by the Golden Dawn, Alex Crowley, and it was to make a distinction between stage magic and alchemy magic, like magic that you have to understand who you are truly, like your God self, you're creating, or you're manifesting. You understand the power of that. So that's why they were making that distinction clearly. I don't think it's a word that you can find in the Webster Dictionary, but it's something in our community.
I was gonna say, so that it's really, so I think it's more about what you're doing within yourself and creating within your life as opposed to illusion. Is that I'm trying to simplify it?
Well,
you know what I mean? Like,
you know what? I'll
is that a?
Wait, can you say that again?
I said it's magic with the K. I feel like it's more of a mindful practice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Internally within yourself, or you know what you can do with other people as opposed to creating an illusion. Like I make this disappear.
Yeah, no,
or
I
you know.
see. Okay.
You know, I'm fighting this a little bit. I'm gonna be honest. I'm fighting that the distinction is because with Magic with the K and what the Golden Dawn was doing was illusionary until it became in 3D form. It must start with the illusion and vision first.
Illusion or vision? Because
Well,
illusion, you know, it's like it. To me, so you know, operational definition. Y'all.
Yeah.
And so when I say illusion, what I'm thinking of is I am tricking you.
Yeah.
That's what I say illusion. So, but vision is different. I definitely think there has to be a creation that's not in the 3D yet in order to create it in 3D. But I'm saying like a trick.
So okay,
That's what I was thinking, like illusion.
Okay, illusion. Let's just get clear. It is a thing that is like or wrongly perceived or interpreted by the senses. So the reason why illusion is okay.
No, go ahead.
No, because you're talking about a polarity, about like tricking, like there's a right or wrong, or I'm manipulating, or somebody's taking something from. Those are what I think of when you say the word that way.
Okay.
And when you're doing sex magic with a partner, there has to be the fluidity or the flow of illusion, because your senses have to come in to make something. So if you look at the definition, it's an interpretation by the senses, right?
Oh, okay.
So for anything to really come into reality, to be reality, you need to have senses in play.
Wait, so you said illusion is interpretation of the senses.
It's the senses. And it has
Interpretation by the senses.
by the senses.
Interesting.
So it's, whether it's right or wrong, that's a polarity.
So almost like, remember social media, is the dress blue or is it, you know?
Yes.
Like I feel like that was...
Right. There's no right or wrong. It's
Right, no.
It's the perception of that person that's in there, right? So...
Okay. I actually like that definition better than what I thought of illusion as. Because when I think of illusion, what is that, the magician... Chris, the one he like.
Oh, is it Chris Angel?
Yes, like he calls himself an illusionist.
Right.
So when I think of illusion, like, you know, it's like the big box is there, and all of a sudden it's not, and he's in someplace else in some water someplace. You know, like that's what I was thinking.
So it's not
I like how you said that though, because that's a different way to interpret it.
Mm-hmm. So it's not a trick. It's he's basically sending energy for your perception to see what he told you to see, or to be what he be.
It's the word trick that is trick.
Trick.
Okay, gotcha.
I think that's
I'm like
the trigger word for me.
Okay, gotcha.
Because I
wasn't seeing it as good or bad.
Okay.
Because I think of like magic tricks. I don't think that's a good or bad thing, but I think it's the trick word.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I like that. I never even thought of illusion in that way. It's literally just. I was about to say tricking the senses. But triggering the senses to see something, to experience something.
Yeah, and think about it. Like when you go to the doctor and you're like, I'm not feeling well. They're like, okay, here's this prescription. They start that illusion that this prescription, this pill is going to work, and you receive that perception, right?
Yeah.
And you go to the pharmacy and you get it because you already are sold on this.
Yeah.
You know,
I like
think
that,
about
right?
Even like with the placebo pill.
Yes, there you go.
Like, oh, I feel so much
Okay.
better.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bam.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, now, dang it. Okay, now you got me thinking about something. Go ahead.
So this is why, like, sometimes when people are like, well, I've been wanting to talk to you about sex magic or tantra, and it seems like we go into a tangent, is because sex magic is not just the act.
Absolutely.
It's everything. And we're having sex magic all the time.
Yeah.
Like, this is actually a form of intercourse. This conversation.
So define that, like why? In what way?
Because each of us who are sitting here have a different mindset, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have certain type of things that we agree upon. That's why we had to like find a common ground on certain words, right? Mm-hmm. And then now we're coming and we're flowing energy to each other. isn't that truly what sex is? We're flowing energy. And then there's a product, which is this podcast that you're going to be putting on the...
But there's really, so would you say the conversation is like into intercourse?
It's like intercourse.
It's intercourse.
I was about to say it's like
Yes,
intercourse.
it's intercourse.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I see.
Yeah. So that's...
Ooh, okay, so that brings... Ooh, wait a
Right.
minute. So, because one of the things we want to talk about is, in order to engage in sex magic, I'm talking about with the partner right now.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Do you all have to be on the same page? So you see how we just had this intercourse and trying to get to an understanding of what it is that we're talking about,
Right.
So that we can come out with a product,
Right.
to create something,
Right.
So if
Oh, I love that.
right, so I'm like, so no, that's what I'm like. I like how that. I'm gonna go with that. I like that a lot. So.
Are you
When
all
I am
sticking with us?
engaging,
'Cause I know it's like-
And I'm sorry, like,
No,
that's why
you
I'm trying to
don't
make
want
sure.
it.
No, I
like,
like that.
Yeah.
No.
Mm-hmm.
So when we are engaging in intercourse sexually with a partner, can we be in creation mode if they're not on the same page? Do I have to say, hey, partner, this is what, I'm manifesting, this is what we're working on, and be on the same page, or can I do it by myself?
Okay. So you're always creating something. Mm-hmm. It's whether or not you find it desirable or enjoyable at the end. Does that make sense? So to say that you have to be on the same page, I can't say you have to be on the same page to do sex magic, right?
Right.
You just may not be happy with the product if
Wait,
you're
so
not on the
hold
same
up,
page.
Hold up. So I might skip a little bit. So hold up. Oh wait, I didn't want to touch this. Shit. So you mean to tell me I can maybe have sex with, like, I can have a one night stand and I can still utilize sex magic?
Yes. Every time that you have actual intercourse, coming together, two bodies or body by yourself, there is a product. It's what product is now being...
What's the end? Do you like...
What's the end result? So now you're being intentional on the product.
Right. We're some
At the
people
end
just having
result.
sex and just,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So here's the
They're
thing.
just having sex. They are producing something, but it may not be something that that is beneficial or their heart's desire to
because
create.
they're not being intentional.
Because they're not being
Right, I was
intentional.
about to say, or their intentions aren't the same.
Their intentions are not the
So
same.
if my intention is I'm just trying to have an orgasm, my partner is like, I am using this energy to create something. The end result may not be.
Right. So, like, perfect example. I'm just gonna be transparent.
Yeah,
In my
please.
20s, when I just didn't know and understand this concept, I'm, hooking up, having a boyfriend, all that kind of stuff, with no intentions, just for pleasure, right? And then you wonder why, like, some of these young...
an intention.
Yes, it is. It's absolutely.
Sorry.
But what do you do when
Yeah.
when that man has given you energy and you have... We, the women,
Yes.
are receivers.
Come on.
So what you gonna do with that energy? And it's just sitting here in you, and then all of a sudden you're like, I wonder what he's doing. Why does he even care about me? He didn't call him. Because that's all that energy
It
that's
really
still
is.
in you.
Yeah.
Because you haven't had the intention to produce something with it.
Ooh!
He's giving you. He's giving you energy, like free energy.
Well, I mean, that's
Free
we talked
energy
about
for
the
us to
whole
do.
sexual transmitted demons too. Like, I
Right.
feel like you have to
So
really
wait a
be
minute,
careful.
Okay, wait.
So you said something. Can I please address
Yeah.
that real quick? So she talked about energies coming in, like lower frequency energies or higher frequency energies coming in, right? This is why sex magic, like when they put the K in, it started off with prayer. It started about sealing the room, actually doing. So now we use that word just casually and we don't do all the steps. So you wonder why sometimes, like, oh my God, I'm having these, like, feelings or these dreams because we really don't do all the steps, and I get it. I'm going to keep it. I'm not trying to go deep, but magic, just think about like a true, how do I say that? Thinking about a sorcerer, right? Well, you've seen the videos, right? You've seen the movies with sorcerers. They do things before they actually do the magic. There's preparation.
Right. Okay.
Absolutely.
There's preparation. So each person who's about to enter into intercourse to do sex magic, they should be prepping on their own. Exercising. Are you stretched out? Both men and women. You stretched out, you ready? And I want to say, when I say men and women, I'm talking about the energy. So this could work for, male,
Yeah.
female. We're
was
talking about
actually
the
something we wanted to talk
energy.
about.
We're talking
Yeah.
about the energy. When you have a relationship, you have two polars coming together.
But okay,
in
so what
energy.
if you have two of the same types of energy?
So wait, so because I want what you just said. We're not talking about male female. Because
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So let's say in a same sex relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So say you have two women or two men, but both of them are feminine energy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Whereas, sometimes in a same sex relationship, one carries a higher of a feminine, one, carries a masculine a bit more. But what if they both carry the same energy? And the reason I'm asking this is because, we just did this episode on divine masculine because we always talk about the divine feminine. So we talked about divine feminine and masculine in the terms of they come together to create.
Right.
So what happens if we have the same energies?
So I want to make sure I say this. When we talk about energy, there's always going to be a positive and negative. Even if a male may act feminine, right? There is still a negative charge in someone in that relationship. And there's a positive charge in someone in that relationship. So that's why I wanted to make it clear in the beginning. We're not talking about just female-male relationship.
Right.
We're talking
Yeah.
about all relationships.
Right.
There has to be. So we hang out, we talk, right? If you think about it, there's always a positive and negative. And when I mean positive and negative, I'm not talking about frequency-wise. We're talking about like battery charge in a car. There's always a positive and negative in any relationship.
Yeah, I like that analogy.
Yeah. Even as friendships, right? Everybody's, oh, you're different, da, da, da. But you play off of that. It's that play. It's the dance.
So
think of the dance.
when
There we
she's
go.
saying positive and negative, you guys, she doesn't mean good and bad.
Yes, correct.
I'm just trying to clear it up for for the peeps. Ooh, ooh, that's fun. Okay.
So you've already, so you can use sex magic alone.
Yes.
Wait,
right?
I want to get into that a little bit deeper.
Okay.
Seriously, because a lot of people aren't necessarily partnered,
Right.
but I want to be able to use the energy of the intercourse alone.
Yeah.
Can you so remember we just talked about the charge of positive and negative. So
Right.
does that mean a person has to hold both within themselves?
Oh, wow.
Woo! You talking about deep. Yeah.
I know. You already know. You know how.
So, we also have positive and negative energy flowing through us as an individual, right? So I want to make sure I don't confuse. So when I talk about relationship, that's a different thing. Now, when we're talking about us individually, we function on our own, and we are able to produce and to maximize the energy that we produce. That's why when you think of something, it can be your reality, right? That was because of a positive negative type of charge. Does that make sense?
Say that again.
Okay.
Help me out. So no. Wait, because I want to make sure that this is clear. I understand what you're saying, but I need you to dial it 2 steps down.
All right. So I'm
You said we're going to
Yes.
So think of your spinal cord. Feel like the base of your spine. If you do any type of chakra work, you may feel heat just as me talking about the base of your spine. Mm-hmm. Okay? Now, if you want to pull that energy up, as it comes up, the opposite end of that energy would be a different type of charge, right? So if you say the crown of your head, right, it's a different type of feeling. If you say, let me feel the energy in my head.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Does this make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I'm so we like to give people analogies, and that's perfect.
Okay. So that's what I mean, that we have two different types of charge in our bodies, right?
Ooh.
So the root and the crown are, I guess they are the exact polar opposites then. Okay. Oh, okay. I see.
So you can utilize. Now let's talk. Okay. back to sex magic within ourselves, because we talked about this.
Right.
Is it masturbation?
Yes. But before you even get to actually touch this,
Right, that's what I said, right?
How about preparation? You know, like, do you have a theme song to get yourself prepared?
Hey now.
You know, like, and what is that? And what kind of words are being said in that? You know, because you're actually putting that into motion. You know, I sometimes cringe in some of the music that I hear on the radio because I'm like, this is what young girls are listening to get prepared to become a woman.
Go ahead.
Yes, right?
Seriously, yep.
And stuff like that. So,
excuse me.
So thinking of that energy, I mean, what are you applying yourself? You know, I'm going to tell you, I love Mija's oil chrome. I just love the smell of it. But this is something I use when I'm going to get prepared. Okay. You know, like I'm adoring myself, right? Are you adoring yourself, right? And are you able to even look in the mirror? I can't tell you how many clients I have, both coaching and both clinical, who can't even look at themselves in the mirror naked. But
I was there.
Yeah, right?
I was there.
So there's some trauma sometimes that has to be relieved so before we can even engage in sex magic ourselves, you know? And then how about taking a bath, right?
Yes.
Right? I think we've talked about water and energy, right? Right?
Yeah.
Or what was that? I don't know. You ever seen that that video of the scientists showing how, like, if you speak positive to the water, it's beautiful. Crystals.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
If you say something negative,
then it looks like a blob.
Right.
Like it's
right. You know,
like the positive thoughts were more symmetrical and had the sacred geometry, and when you were speaking negative, it had no form, which was so interesting.
Correct.
Wait a minute, that's beautiful. So think about it, you guys. And I'm just thinking about even with myself. Like I definitely prepare when in partnership to engage. And of course, I don't think I've ever thought of it in a way of when I'm sexually magicking with myself. the preparation, that's, ooh, dang that. Okay, now you got me thinking. I'm like, that's actually, because think about it, you know, when in partnership, I'm just saying for myself, you know, get dressed, smell good, you know, play some music. I definitely dance in front of me, like get my like
exactly. Just for this conversation, I put some music on. I wear like something a little sexy, just because you know, because I'm preparing,
bringing in
that energy. You know, so like dancing in front of the mirror, like you just said, because that's energy flow, right? So I'm talking about preparation before you actually start doing the magic,
right?
You know, and then after, if like occultists, when the word magic with the K was created, they would actually do certain type of prayers and rituals, right? But everything starts with preparation.
And to me, that's the intention. That's it. Oh, I love it. So after you have prepared your beautiful vessel that you are by yourself.
Yes.
Now let's get into this a little bit.
Wait, I don't think I talked about the bath. So I was talking about the water because we're 75% of water, right? You know, that's why people say people go crazy during the full moon or whatever like that, because they're being affected by the moon, right? What are we saying about ourselves every day? Because just like that experiment about the crystallizations of water, so if you're all constantly saying, I don't look good, or this dress doesn't fit well on me, or all that, guess what? You're putting that in the molecules of your water, and then you wonder why you don't like your sex or like having time with yourself or looking at yourself in the mirror, or
attracting some unsavory type.
Well, anyway, so that's part of the preparation too. Okay. So even if you want to take a bath, speaking to that water.
Oh, okay. You know what? That's something I've never done.
Yes.
Speak into my bath water.
Speak into your bath. Set the tone in the bath. You know what I'm saying? You can put some candles in there.
I love that.
You don't have to wait for somebody. You can put candles on your own, the bubbles, and I'm gonna not only relax, but I'm adoring myself, like constantly talking. For men, you know, baths are okay too, or they have those shower steamer things, you know, just preparing that, right? And then I bought these mindful yoni massage.
Yo, let me tell you. I took some pictures. Okay, And I'll say, if you all join our Buy Me Coffee page, I will post these pictures so you can find us.
Yeah.
Because I took some pictures, and when I tell you I'm about to go home and try every single one.
Right? Yeah. I was like,
So yeah, you definitely want to join our page.
And there's also one for mindful lingam massage, which lingam is the penis, right? And these words are from Hindu and Buddhist, which one is for the right, one is for the left, but that's a different thing. So anyway, you can learn how to massage yourself, right? As women, we should know, and men, like, what is your thing? Like, what is your most sexy part of your body, right? You know, and you should like play with that. You know, some people can't even express like what they find to be appealing on themselves, and they wonder why their sex is not good. Well, you don't even think good of yourself. How do you think somebody else is going to think good of yourself?
right.
You know?
Absolutely.
So it starts with that, right? And being able to know what is your hot spot. Like, what is the spot that you get touched there or somebody does this, right? And can you do it to yourself, right? And why does it feel different if somebody else does it versus when you do it, right? All of these questions kind of come into play when you're talking about sex magic with yourself. And then let's talk about our hands. Like, ladies, men, your hands should be soft, right? Because you're about to touch certain places, right? So have you prepared your hands? Have you washed them, cleaned them?
Especially wash. Can we talk about that real quick? I'm sorry. You all wash your hands, especially these men with the dirty nails. I'm very, very particular with that. You know.
I just had a visual that just made me want
like no. And then there are complaints about women and their vaginal smells is because the stuff what's coming in is not clean. So okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we both.
Wait, why me and Chrissy both putting stuff on our hands?
We're
like,
preparing.
Preparing.
And then also understand, like, what is your time of day? Are you a morning person? Are you an evening person? Are you midday? Like, you should know when you can peak on your own by yourself, you know? So set the mood for that. And then what is your intention? Yes. Intention is so important, okay? Are you just trying to get your rocks off when you're doing this? And if that's that's completely okay. Right. That's needed, right?
Yes.
But understand that energy should focus to something in a sense. If you're getting your rocks off, just be honest. I don't feel real well, and I am tied up and feeling. I just need to release.
Yep.
You know. So, and when you release, be excited and happy about that release. You know, some people have shame around masturbation.
Okay.
Yeah, and people who grew up in a church, they say, man shouldn't spill his semen. Now, mind you, the Bible says it's better for you to be with a whore, right, than to just knock it off, right? But they're not talking about actual, like, knock it off. Like, I'm so sorry.
Rubbing one out. Rubbing one out, y'all.
They're talking about the energy of it. Does that make sense?
Being wasteful.
Being wasteful with the energy, right? Yeah. So it's better for that's what the scripture actually is talking about. It's better for you to be with a whore that at least the energy is transmuting to something versus you just knock that energy out. That's why intention is important.
Very important.
What
that's deep.
Is that why there's such a there seems to be there's this thought that masturbation is it from the Bible that people just believe? I mean, I have talked to many people that be like, oh no, I don't masturbate. They're fine with sex, but masturbation is not
right.
So but where does that come from?
That comes from the understanding that they think it's like, well, fornication is bad, so it's better for you to be on your own, right? That's what we would think, right? That's what we would think. But when you read some of these scriptures, you have to understand there's so many different layers to it, right? So I'm sorry I took it here to spiritual, but there's so many different layers, right? And we're just going to talk about the common King James Version, right? You read it, but if you have a preschool mentality in spirituality, you're going to take things in a different way versus someone who may be in high school.
for a PhD,
right? So what I'm trying to explain to you is when the scripture says it's better for you to be with a whore versus just letting go, it's the energy. It's better for you to transmit. So when you are having sex by yourself, you have to be intentional about the energy that you're about to expand and release. Does that make sense now?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So is it, well, I mean, I know it is, but I just want to, like, even with yourself, even if your intention is, I'm looking to please myself,
That's
at least have that intention.
Right.
Do you,
Right.
That's that, you know what I mean? Like,
That's
at
what
least
I'm
have
saying.
that. That's, you know
If
what I
you
mean?
don't have
Like,
an intention, your intention should just be
so it's
that you
kind
don't
of
have an
interesting.
intention.
I wouldn't, even if people don't think necessarily that they don't set an intention before they're engaging, and if they're not aware that they are setting an intention, aren't you still setting the intent? Aren't you still having some type of intention?
Whether you are,
you know what I'm saying?
Wait. Say it,
No, I'm
'cause
just saying,
like.
So if even if I'm not, even if I'm engaging in intercourse and I don't have an intention, like even if I'm not saying to myself, I need to release because I need to release my mind so I can think, or I need to please myself, or I'm trying to manifest this, or blah blah blah. The lack of the awareness of an intention, does that necessarily mean that you aren't having some form of an intention? Do you know what I mean? Is the lack of an intention an intention?
The lack of intention is not an intention.
Gotcha. Okay.
The lack of intention that's the wastefulness that that scripture was and stuff like that. When we're talking about creation, it's either you're letting laissez-faire, like you just let life happen to you, or you're being intentional about life. Because that's how you know that you are starting to know who you are. Does that make sense or no?
Oh no, yeah. I'm thinking about it. Okay.
So like massaging yourself and being intentional about putting love into yourself. It's just taking the time to understand like what you're doing, right? Like what you're doing to yourself.
Okay.
The words, the music that you got playing in the background. If you're one who is able to create visions in your mind, then what kind of visions are you putting in your mind? Is it for men, is it a woman that you saw, when you were out and about, or is it a porn that you saw? Because all of that gives energy.
Ooh. Now that's interesting. No, Mija, that's good to think about it. What do they call it when people are what do they call it, a highlight reel? So sometimes when people are having sex and they're trying to get there and they can't get there, they'll go back to what they call their highlight reel.
Oh, yeah,
like some of their best moments.
Oh, okay.
To finish.
I like that. Yeah.
Your top 10. Go ahead. Let's go.
Right. Let's go.
No, so I'm saying I think sometimes people, especially if you're in with someone and your highlight reel may not be with the person that you're with, does that take away from the energy that you two are creating together?
All right, so let's talk about it. Yeah. So when we have sex with partners, so we're finished with individual, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so when we have sex with partners, be aware that if your partner and you have not prepared to be together, you are having sex with every person that they had sex with.
Yes.
Right. Right?
Look, I'm just like, woo!
I mean,
Speak on
like,
oh my God.
I mean, we could talk about it from a spiritual perspective, or we could talk about it on the physical perspective.
Let's talk about it spiritually.
Okay, let's talk about it spiritually. So, ladies, I can just talk about it from a lady's perspective, or ladies, men too. Like, you could probably remember who was a person who really made you feel good. I'm talking about that feel good, like what's her name? Halle Berry in that movie Monster. Like, I need to feel good. Like, who is that person who made you feel good, right? And it's probably hard for you to take that memory. I mean, we all sitting here smiling, right? Like, we all sitting here smiling, right? And I know you smile when you listen to this.
Why do I feel like I just got caught with my hand. And I'm like, oh shit, I was.
Right? Well, that person comes into the bedroom with you if you have not unwound yourself with that person. You know, I'm not about cutting ties. I know that's a lot of things in our, in this thing they talk about cutting ties, but cutting ties, think about it, when you cut, that person still has part of you.
Oh, wow.
So imagine a braid, right? And if you just gonna come in the middle just to cut that braid, there's pieces on top, pieces on below, right? And it's still intertwined. That's why I'm saying unwinding.
Interesting.
You know?
We need to have a conversation about cutting cords, because I got a theory. Okay, but we're going to stay here though. But okay,
so
yes.
all of those
like
people come into the playroom, right? And some of it could be good. Maybe somebody taught you how to perform fellatio. Maybe somebody else taught you how to do this. But if you don't know what you like, you are bringing into the room things that you experience with other people. Like some women don't even know how to make themselves have an orgasm.
No, not some.
There are a lot.
Right.
I mean, surprisingly.
Yeah. Actually, in my 40s is when I learned. Not too long ago.
Yeah.
I mean, like, no. I think it's one of those things that a lot of people don't talk about openly.
Right.
And I think it's really unfortunate that, and why is it more difficult for women to be able to bring ourselves there than what I would have, I'm assuming, because I'm not a man, I don't have a penis, then I assume that, like women can engage in sex, he's going to have his thing. Honestly, how many times, even like us, before in your life, have you had sex and have not had an orgasm?
A lot.
Yeah.
Right, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And
several times.
yeah, and it feels like a freebie. Like, what the fuck? Excuse me. I'm sorry. Like, look, why did I just do that?
Yeah.
Regrets.
Right? What the hell was that?
What was that about?
I could have had a V8.
I could have had a V8. Right? I love it. So, like, intention and knowing that you have to be prepared. So, like, that means doing your work on your own before coming together, like unwinding with other people, right? And knowing what you like.
Yeah.
And
I think, that also goes into really discovering yourself. And that's one of the things that I've learned, because honestly, I feel like the spiritual journey is coming back to self.
Yes.
Right.
And as you are getting to know yourself, you start to know and appreciate what it is that you like, and you're able to vocalize it, and it's not a problem. It is so empowering. But you have to, and that goes into doing the work too.
Right. Yeah, Christy, that's correct.
It's like the deeper that you're able, or that you're willing to go spiritually, the deeper that you can journey into yourself and sexually. Like I don't think I have.
That's actually
Isn't that
really
dope?
good point.
Yeah.
I don't think I have enjoyed sex this much in my life.
I was just Christy. I was gonna say, I really do think the more that I've learned about me, and it's a never ending journey.
Never ending. Yes.
But I can definitely say, whew, baby, it hits a little different.
It does.
Right.
And I've always enjoyed sex.
Right.
Let's be clear. I've never
But
been
it
one of
does
those
hit
people, but I mean,
differently.
it's
Pun
like,
intended.
you're right.
Exactly. And then we were talking about positions real quick. Like, so, wait, I want to say on the point about the age. You know how they say women over 40, they say they really enjoy sex. It's really because they start to get to know themselves.
Man.
That's also,
Yes, Lord.
And once you get to really know yourself, the enjoyment is a whole different ballgame.
It really is.
Yeah. And then, so let's talk about positions. So back to really getting to know yourself. Like, do you even know what your favorite position is? Like, right? And it's so important, right?
Yes.
And what kind of energy that position brings in,
Oh, let's break that. No, talk about that. Come on, Maj.
So for some people, when they're having, like, when a woman is on top, right? She's controlling. She's also, like, flowing the rhythm, right? She's the one who's making the cadence. She's making cadence. Thank you. She's the one who's doing that rhythm, right? And he is injecting into a receiver. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So by her rhythm, he like injects. Does that make sense? Right? I'm trying
Inject into
her receiver,
Right.
her receiver,
Her vagina.
But I'm trying to say that spiritually, it's a receiver.
Gotcha.
Right. So envision it's actually going to what? The base chakra, right?
Yeah.
So that's going to be ignited even more, and it goes into the woman's like spine, right? Think about it, right? So he's giving her energy, right? And then it comes up to the crown, right? But what is she doing with that, right? Sometimes people just pull it back and forth in them, the women, and then they orgasm, right? Or what I would suggest, give it back to your partner. So that means like if you're riding him, like to lean back and kiss him when you feel the energy has rised all the way up to your crown, give it back to him. Now you guys are really pulling in a different type of energy because it hit her crown, right? And it's going into him, and then he's going to pull it all the way down to his penis, pull it back to you, and you're creating an orbit.
Yes.
Wow.
So you already know what this makes me think of. Tantra.
This is all tantra,
Right. That's what I'm like. So, but I want you to say
Yeah.
so people, because I
Yes.
think people have a different. I mean, you know what? I'm not going to say what people have. Let's be clear about that. This is all tantra.
This is all tantra.
All right, so
Let's
I'm
talk
about to
about
be that
that.
person. So you mean to tell me sex magic is tantra?
Yeah, it's a form. I'll just say it's a form, right? So there is white tantra, which is more of the connection to the ultimate goal is the connection to God, if you believe God is outside of yourself, or that you are becoming godlike. That's what mostly white tantra is for. There's red, which is about pleasure, which is good too, and this is where sex magic could be in both white and red tantra, right? Let's just talk about those two, or do you guys want? There's a whole bunch of other colors, but you want to just
let's talk about white and red.
Okay. So white is intentional about spirituality, right? This is where yoga is coming. This is where the kundalini can rise on its own through meditation, because meditation is the start of white tantra. Like getting connected, opening your chakras. That's like exercise right there that you can do together, right? The breathing, right? There's certain positions that you guys can do when you're starting before the lingam and the yoni connect. So you could, women, you could sit facing your partner and sit on top of him, with him not being inside of you yet. And then you guys can do breathing exercise so you guys can get into the rhythm, right? So it's just like feeling the rhythm of both you and him, right? As he exhale, you should be inhaling. As you inhale, she should be exhaling, right? Right?
So that breathing, because you remember you were talking about that cycle. This is actually one of the first ways of tantra that I learned was this breathing, and this, and it's just creating that cycle. It is exhilarating on another level that you like, and we're not.
Wait, so tell me what you do. What
Like, you know what I mean? Like this, like, how do you say this? There's real words for this. I don't know the real words. I'm going to say breathe in and out, but I know Mija knows what the real words are, just in terms of like, if I'm inhaling his breath and I'm taking it in, he's, you know what I mean? It's like this cycle between the two.
So you're inhaling his exhale.
Okay, so let me
Like, I'm like,
start.
say it the right way.
So let's start. You're gonna have to start with your root chakra, right? I start with root chakra. Some people can start with crown. There's no either or, right? When the person says breathe in, you need to breathe in through the chakra, not through just your mouth and your nose. It's opening up that chakra. So let's just start with the root chakra, okay? So sit up straight, comfortable, and try to have your booty cheeks a little open when you're sitting in the seat. Let the chakra of the root expand as you breathe in. Hold it. And as you breathe, let it go. I want you to feel that energy going up your spine, opening up the other chakras. And as you breathe out, you would be breathing out into his mouth. You could do French kiss like that, right? And just kind of feel each other's energy, right? Hopefully both of y'all brush your teeth, right? You feeling each other's energy, right? You know? So it's not just breathing in to fill belly. This is not the belly. This is not the belly breath. This is the chakra root breath, like opening that up.
It's interesting. For some reason, I always start crown.
Okay.
Even when I'm cleansed, I don't know why.
You do.
No, I do.
That's just you.
Yeah, I'm just like I feel like I feel like I'm high. So I kind of gotta like
You can do
to
the
get it down here, and that's.
Yes. So
I wonder how many people open their booty cheeks in their chair when she said that, by the way. Don't lie, y'all. I swear, I was just like, I guarantee somebody's like, wait a minute, hold on. Right. Okay, now. Okay.
So let's do crown. I'm sorry, okay. So let's do the crown. Now, when you breathe in, you should feel the follicles of your hair. Like opening up. Like if you know where your soft spot is in your head when you were younger, it's still there, right? Like, and when you breathe in, that should tingle, and you should feel like energy, like I can't you feel that, right? But to ensure that you can
make my mouth water.
I'm sorry.
It makes my mouth water.
I think we were both
Right. No, it really does. Go ahead.
Yeah, it can make your mouth.
So that's no, I'm saying so. That's how it goes. It's like, and then it's like, then it gets depthful instead of this. Now I want to try it the other way though.
So this is a good way. This is a good way if you would like to prepare for oral sex, right? This is why our mouth got water in it. Got energies right there, ready to receive, right? You know. So anyway,
White Tantra. No, we were talking about White Tantra. We got
yeah. So this is all White Tantra,
yes.
right? And you can do it with red, but the intention is not for spiritual enlightenment.
Gotcha.
It's for pleasure.
It's pleasure, yeah, which is okay.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
okay, you know. So
Is how does, and then we're talking about sex magic. How does abstinence play into sex magic?
Yeah. So if you're going to try to create, remember, when we're having sex magic, when we're doing sex, it's to produce something. Whether you are like intentional about the product or not, you produce something. So with abstinence, you're holding the energy and frequency of manifestation within yourself to produce something. Like, I do not have sex with my husband prior to a retreat at all, because there's too much work that I have to do. I need that energy. Or, football players, football player, like professional or high school, college.
Not supposed to have
sex. They're not supposed to have sex. Why? Because they're holding that energy in so they can go and produce for the game, right? So it's the same thing. So if you're abstaining, it doesn't mean that you can't have magic going on, sex magic going on. Just know that you have an intention. But most people, some people, when they abstain, it's this, woes is me because I don't have a partner, ain't no good man or good woman around for me to have sex. They carry this heaviness, or martyrism for right? So that's what they continue to produce, because that's their mindset.
And you mentioned it earlier, you have to be very careful with the energy that you put into yourself, how you speak to yourself, how you touch yourself, how you prepare for yourself. That goes hand in hand.
Right.
The reason that we brought up and it's so funny that you use the athlete analogy, because that's how I think of it. That's exactly how I think of it. Just before, if you're preparing to create something, and let me know how you feel about this, before you're beginning to create something, and it's requires a little bit more of you. And I'm thinking about this from track. This was literally something I used to do, and I didn't know that this is what I was doing then. I was in college, I didn't. But I knew that I needed to hold it and let it out on the track. And anytime I didn't do that, my performance on the track was different. Every time.
Exactly.
Every time. And I remember, my little college boyfriend, one of them would be like, no, I can help you get ready. And I'd be like, oh, okay. And every time, it would be, it was not the... I'm like, I need to hold it.
So that's transmuting energy.
Exactly.
That's why I'm like, I feel like abstinence, not the woe is me version we were talking about, but
The more empowered.
Like, what's the way to say this? Like, it's like
You're harnessing the energy
There you go.
and you're being intentional to release it at your track meet, right?
Yes.
Or let's talk about, if you guys are listening to this on your cell phone, right? Let's talk about the one who produced that, Nikola Tesla, who died as a virgin, okay? He made over 700 and some, like, ridiculous number of patents. This man, all he did was create. He was doing sex magic. He was harnessing his energy, and he was creating.
So it's almost like he was. That's interesting. Do you think that if now we're just pontificating? Do you think if he did engage in intercourse and using the energy of someone being intentional in that he would have been able to do more?
No.
Okay.
Because in my view, he wasn't having sex physically. You know, sometimes people talk about he had downloads. That's sex. So what I mean by so he wasn't having physical intercourse in this 3D version. Let me say this real quick so I don't. He was having sex with, some people question if he was tapped into another dimension, right? So that's a form of intercourse. So he may not have had a mate or partner in this 3D form, but there was some partner going on through. Do you understand what I'm saying? Spiritually, from a different dimension. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, it's intercourse is just not another 3D person. Okay. Does that make sense?
Can I ask another question that I'm sure someone might be thinking of? I am that person. So what if you just want a quickie? Can you still use white tantra?
Oh yeah.
Is it tantra or tantra?
Tantra.
Okay.
If you want to, I can give you the definition of what tantra means. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
we love definitions.
I was gonna say,
that might help you. That might help. Right. So, so the word tantra, it actually is a Sanskrit word, and it's actually wheel of energy, right? It's a weaving. So the Sanskrit of tan means to loom and weave. Okay, so what are you looming and weaving now?
So you know what that sounds like?
What?
Infinity.
Chakras.
Oh,
chakras are yes, right.
Energy. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, energy fields. Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah.
It's go ahead.
But weaving is intentional. So I'm sorry, you guys. So if you talk about weaving, when you talk about weaving is intentional. That's what tantra is, intentionally weaving energy together. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Just want to make sure.
I know, that makes... So, again, I'm trying to simplify.
Yeah.
Weaving as opposed to stacking energies. You know, so it's not like it's not like a smash together. Like my energy is like smash. It's more like a...
Coming together, commingling. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why when you look at the Kundalini, if you ever seen a picture of Kundalini, they're like
it's
weaving
like
in together, right? The Caduceus wand, that's weaving in together. You get? Let me.
Doesn't and that also looks like
fine.
Okay, that's cool. All right, cool.
That looks like the DNA.
Correct.
What is it called?
Correct.
Thank you. Come on.
Right.
But
the chromosomes, like how they come together, DNA coming together, right? Yes. All of this is intentional.
Man, let me tell you something. Really I love this so much because this is further proof and understanding of the grand design.
Ooh.
And that's really what, like, real talk, that's really what, but that's really...
Keep going, right?
You know what I'm saying? This really what this is. We are shown over and over and over again how there is a design to this. So... And this is not necessarily a judgmental thing, but when we are shown so many ways that there is a architect to this, there is a designer. I don't care what you call it, what it looks like, but acknowledging it helps you to. I don't want to say become it, but acknowledge it within yourself. Because I am part of the. I mean, like it's like, well, how do I? Because I'm trying to be careful because I don't want to offend.
Right.
Because when someone, if you say big,
I was gonna say embody.
Okay, yeah, embody. Like accepted.
But even before you embody, you got to kind of understand let's talk about sports, right? Football, right? If you don't know the rules of football, know the like positions and all that kind of stuff, you really can't enjoy the sport or play the sport to a mastery, right? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it's like understanding that it's more about, and there's nothing offensive about understanding the framework of the archetype, whether you call it God, whatever you call it, right? But when you understand the framework, you're able to move and play with the energy so much better, right?
No, it's absolutely. Right. I love that analogy. Like, I never enjoyed watching golf on TV.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is the most boring.
I'd rather watch paint dry.
Right. You know what I mean? But once I engaged in the activity and understood the rules, now it's more enjoyable for me because I'm like, oh.
It was the same thing with tennis.
Yeah,
like
totally.
I never watched tennis,
Absolutely.
but now I'm like.
So I like that because bringing it back to what it is that we're talking about in terms of the design, it does help you to, dare I say, enjoy the design more that you're a part of, that we're all a part of.
Right.
And I also think, dare I say, this really does help people understand the divinity that exists within them. Not outside of you, within you. Okay, I'm gonna stop.
But Mia, when you were talking, you said something about not until I experienced it that I understood golf, right? If you could understand your learning style too, that will be very helpful in this whole process of living life, right? So some people are visual, right? And then society or something may knock you because and say, oh, that's a voyeur. But what if that person learns through visualization?
Absolutely.
Right? So they need to see. They need to watch, right? You know, they turn on the lights. Not turn them off. You know that song, turn them off, right? They like, turn on the lights. I need to see, right? So understanding your partner and use learning style will help in starting this.
So we're going to ask, what's your learning style, Mija?
I got experience.
What about you, Christy?
I'm visual.
I need to experience. I need to feel it. I do. I
think
I'm gonna tell you that's
I definitely need to see it.
Yeah. You know, and so if you could use that in play, in foreplay, when you getting prepared to create, you know, it takes it to a whole different intensity.
No, I love
right?
this. So if someone Chris, if you visualize it before, because that's how it is. So people who watch porn before, that is a way of seeing it
for them to understand and experience it, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with porn as long as you use it with an intention. And there's certain type of porn, you know, they're like, oh, porn makes women, you know, the great women. But there's all kinds of porn. There's all kinds of types of different porn. You can watch porn with your partner, you know, but knowing your partner's learning style, knowing your partner's love language, is that terminology? Like you guys, like love language. Those things will help you with creating a sex magic experience, you know? Yeah. Knowing each other. I mean, it's important. Know yourself first, you know?
Okay, I got a question. So let's go to the orgasm. Does the energy, does the type of orgasm dictate the type of energy that you'll get? So whether that's a vaginal orgasm, an anal orgasm, a nipple orgasm.
Yeah.
So why are you making the face?
I'm trying to say like what it is in a simple form. So so think about how you view about those parts, right? So there are certain women who don't want their breasts to be touched, especially, you know, because they don't feel comfortable with it, right? So if they were to have...
that was me.
Yeah.
That was me.
Yeah. And so how can you do it now? And it's probably very pleasurable because it's like you broke the mold for yourself, right? So once again, trauma comes into play. This is why, like, I tell people, like, you need to address your needs first. So if you have some trauma around it, make sure that you've addressed those needs, because it will affect the magic and what you create in the energy, right? Also, some people view their breasts, some women view their breasts as just organs to give milk to their children, right? And then, so when they have that, they're going to produce motherly energy. Does that make sense, right? Caretaking, making sure their partner's needs are met before theirs. That's the type of flow of energy. You get what I'm saying? That could be flowing out of that, right? When you start talking about vaginal energy during orgasm, there is such, are you a creamer? Are you a squirter? That kind of comes into play with that too. Like, the energy will be different, and then anal, like, what do you think about your anal area first, will help you understand what type of energy will produce when you have an orgasm that way.
That's interesting.
I've done all.
I'm about to call my husband in a minute, like, okay, let's get
That is
what you doing?
What's up? And foreplay talk before, like, he's at work right now, so I probably won't see him till 6 or 7. Foreplay starts, with the text, like, what's up? How to do that. Play is important too.
Love language, you said earlier. When you said understanding your love language, is it important that the person that you are engaging with, that they understand your love language in order for you to utilize it in partnership?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I would say
yeah. Absolutely. It's like if we were doing this interview and I'm speaking Creole, there'll be nothing that is communicated, right? Communication is truly like you received, I gave, you received, right?
Well, and that's intercourse.
That's intercourse,
on,
right? So it's important. It's important. I mean, to be honest, there's more to the actual preparation before the act. Like, you got to get to know yourself. You got to get to know your partner. You got to set the room. You got to. There's so much that comes into it. Like, so.
And the healing piece. Oh, like, I feel like that's a huge component too.
Yeah.
And you said that earlier, just dealing with your trauma.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of us do that. And once you get rid of that, you can be real. Like, and I'll tell you, we talked about it. Sex is just different now. And it's just getting better.
It is,
and
right?
I keep telling my partner, it's just going to keep getting better.
Yeah. Yeah. And you see how this is like layers to it? You remember earlier we were talking about the Bible real quick? How I said, like, depending on your comfortability or your spiritual maturity, like where you at in spiritual school, it's the same thing with sex. Like, where you at with your maturity, where you at, there's different layers to this experience of sex and sex magic, right?
Yeah.
But it starts with getting to know yourself, healing the trauma.
And the more you do that, the more you enjoy. Even the preparation is fun, like, and I was never, and I'm just going to be completely honest, I was never the type that liked oral sex. And I never understood, I don't understand, like, why do you like sucking dick? And, like, I get no pleasure from it. And I used to look at people like, ooh, you do that? But now I love it.
Yeah, it's a different type of view about sex, period,
right,
when you feel comfortable with yourself.
Right, and I think that's the reason. I think that's the reason why I enjoy it, because I've gotten comfortable with myself. And I'm like, I will be whatever it is. I have no problem, but I enjoy it.
And then there is like forms of adoration that the partner needs to do to each other. So a man needs to adore the woman in a certain way to get her prepared, right? And we as women need to prepare the man as well. But mostly what people do is, hit 2 spots and like, you good, okay, let's do this, right? There's no preparation, There's no preparation. And that's the most, I'm back to preparation, right?
And
Oh
I
my
also feel
gosh.
like, so if you think of it this way, you know how you prepare for a project.
Right.
And if you put a lot of energy into it, you know that project is going to be the bomb. But if you just give a 5 minutes here and not put your all into it, that's the type of project that you're going to put out there. So you really need to be mindful.
Yep.
This was very helpful.
And the man and woman need to give healing energy to each other in preparation too. You know? So, yeah.
I mean, I think that, you know how people will wait until they have sex with someone, and a lot of times people be like, "Oh, you just holding it for," but I really do think at this age, I'm like, at this age, at this time, I understand how important it is, because when you really understand what it is that you're engaging in with somebody, if they haven't healed, if they're bringing trauma, if they're bringing their bullshit, like she said, everybody that they can, you're taking that in too. And if you're doing that too, so you do really, it is, at this point in my life, imperative that I know what that energy is, that I'm accepting, like, real time. And, you know, it's not like I'm trying to be a prudent, like, no. This is something completely different.
I don't know where you've been, what you have.
Right. Get to know each other. You know?
And how well somebody knows themselves.
Yeah.
Wow.
Ooh, child.
Just because somebody look good to you doesn't mean that, you know,
They're good for you.
Exactly.
There you go. You said it perfectly.
We are an hour and 6.
Oh, wow.
And I feel like we could have talked more about
right.
Oh, yeah.
Literally, so many things. They're gonna ask us for a part 2. I'm telling you right now.
But you know, one thing I just want to say to people, like, get to know yourself.
Yes.
First. That's
Do
it.
that healing work.
Look, I'm like, because we always do a takeaway. So that's your major takeaway for people.
Get to know yourself first. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I really do.
That's important.
You guys, Mija has dropped some jewels, some pearls,
Pearls.
on the audience.
Yes.
Thank you, Mija, so much.
Thank you for
thank
having
you
me. I
guys.
appreciate it.
This was very enlightening.
Absolutely.
And
no.
I mean, I love these type of conversations because I feel like I'm walking away learning some information. Besides, we got the goods.
Oh,
got
yes.
the-
You know, I love your
The
I can never pronounce it.
okay.
Solve. I loved it. Now I use this in preparation. Me and my husband, right,
Okay.
rubbing ourselves. So you know, y'all need to pick this up and stuff. That's
Thank
helpful.
you. I appreciate
You guys follow Mija at Soul Ascending.
Yes, Soul
it.
Ascending.
One? Is it one?
Soul Ascending 1. Yes.
Number 1.
Yeah, at
So
Instagram.
SOULASCENDING, the number 1.
Correct.
Thank you, Mija.
Thank you.
so
Thank you.
much for. I love when we are able to bring in, you know, some of our good friends. Like, this is like our for real good girlfriend.
Yeah.
Like, we over here having this conversation like this, but no, this is like our good girlfriend for real. And so I appreciate you know, allowing us to share your energy with
thank
the
you.
audience.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, it's nice to hear it from other people, and, like, you know, and Magick just comes from such a different perspective, and it's just it's juicy.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Thank
juicy,
you,
juicy.
ladies. This is so powerful. I love that you guys do this. I mean, you're bringing some real content and helping people change their lives. So this is good.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is good.
Well, I'll keep it quick and simple. The crystal for the week will be carnelian. Y'all go and get some and enjoy yourselves.
Yes, that's a good love one too. Matter of fact, you know, I keep carnelian in my kitchen, right, literally next to the stove, so I can
Create
create with love when I'm cooking, you know, feeding my people. All right, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you guys for listening. Make sure follow us on IG at 2 Queens Crystal Things. We look forward to your feedback. Don't forget to follow our personal pages. You can follow Christy at Christy R. Edwards, and that's a Christy with an IE. And follow myself at
Wings Unleashed 444. Let me toot her horn.
And Christy does sell the salve that Mija was speaking of, and my
get her
my
magic
goddess
oil.
oils. She you know, when we make things, we share with each other. Like, you know, check this out. Let us know what you think. So I appreciate. You know, she's like, you know, I use this, okay. So thank
oil
you,
is so nice.
and thank you guys. Until next week, light, peace, love, and soul. Bye.
Bye.